Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about the state of Texas in the 2024 presidential race and the possibility how it may very well, in fact, go blue for the first time since 1976 and cast their 40 electoral votes to Kamala Harris, really creating a blowout election for the Democratic ticket, giving them 359 electoral votes to Trump's and Vance's 179, an absolute blowout election. And every day it becomes more and more of a possibility. And of course, this brand new poll from Ann Selzer in Iowa really sparked this new interest for the Democratic Party in states like Texas, but it goes beyond Texas. There's new interest now by the Democratic Party in Florida, which was relatively close in 2020, in Iowa, which was a deep red state but was relatively close in 2020, in Ohio, another deep red state. If Iowa is going to Kamala Harris in this A plus pollster Ann Selzer, it's an 11-point shift towards the left from 2020. Trump won it by 8 points in the 2020 election. If Ann Selzer is correct and Kamala Harris does in fact carry the state of Iowa, it would be an 11-point trend. Now, as of now, I can't see Harris winning Iowa. What you're looking at right here is my current forecast. But as you can see, it has shifted things dramatically. Iowa, Ohio, Texas, Florida, they weren't even consideration for me for being at all close. And as you notice, for the first time, I think ever, every single battleground state, well, I should quote unquote that, quote unquote battleground state, all seven are going to Kamala Harris. It's not even a close election. So clearly, this poll has changed things, and it really puts a state like Texas into play. Again, this is an A-plus rated pollster. This poll means everything for the Harris campaign. It's the best poll they've ever received. And again, it's not, yes, it's an outlier, but this is not just any random D-rated pollster. No, this is Ann Selzer. Just take a look at their track record. You can see in just 2 years ago in the 2022 Senate race in Iowa, they said the Republican would win by 12 points. He won by 12 points. In 2020, when every poll said that the race was tied in Iowa, or Joe Biden was up by a point in Iowa, or Donald Trump was up by a point or two in Iowa, Ann Selzer said that he was up by 7 percentage points. He won the state by 8. They got it almost spot on. You look at the presidential race before that. In 2016, every poll said that it was about a tied race in Iowa. Ann Selzer said that it was Republican plus 7. It ended up being Republican plus 9. Then in 2012, they said Obama would win in Iowa by 5 points. He won by 6 points. As you can see, in each presidential election, they get it basically spot on. Their biggest margin in a presidential election has been 2 points since 2012. Comprehend that. If that trend would continue, and you say that Trump is underestimated by 2 percentage points, Harris would still be winning the state of Iowa. That would still be a 9-point trend towards the Democratic Party and still a blowout. I mean, just, let's take a step back and think about, if Kamala Harris were to win the state of Iowa by 3 points, what that would look like. Again, that 11% trend towards the left, towards the Democratic Party, towards Kamala Harris, compared to 2020, that would be huge. Yes, it's Iowa, but you would expect something extremely similar across the nation, as well as the Rust Belt. You would have Texas go blue by a likely margin. You would have Florida go blue by a likely margin. Iowa and Ohio would be lean margins for Kamala Harris. Alaska would go to Kamala Harris by a point. This election would be the biggest blowout since for a Democrat, that is, since 1964. Can you imagine that? It's absolutely insane. Now, I don't think it will be an 11-point trend nationwide. I don't think that it'll be an 11-point trend in Iowa. However, the fact of the matter is, it could be much less than that and still be a blowout for the Democratic ticket for Harrison Laws. It already is in my forecast, but it could be something really tremendous that we don't even expect. Now, let me put it this way. Trump would have to win the state of Iowa by 10 points in 2024 to win the election. He won it by 8 again. He won it by 8% in 2020, but he lost that election as a whole. So to win the election, his bare minimum, he would have to trend the nation at least 2 percentage points towards the left. A 10-point margin in Ann Selzer's poll, was what we were sort of expecting, right? 10 points, that is what we were looking at. heading into the poll. That's what most people were predicting. 8, 9, or 10 or 11, something like that. But again, she's winning by 3. That is a 13-point deficit between what Ann Selzer's poll says and what Trump needs to win the state of Iowa to, in fact, win the presidency. The fact of the matter is, Iowa is gone, and it's a lot, Kamala Harris is a lot closer to winning Texas than Trump is to winning the presidency. Again, let's say the trend in Iowa happened nationwide. Now, of course, that's not true. In fact, Texas is trending faster towards the Democratic Party than Iowa is. But for simplicity, for the sake of the video, let's say, as in this poll, let's say if Iowa is trending 11 points towards the Democratic Party, then every other state would as well. Well, again, in this poll, it's an 11-point margin. And as I said, that would produce a likely margin victory for Harris in Texas. Why? Because Trump won it by 5 points. Let's call it 6 points. Or 5.5, we should call it. He won it by 5.5 points in the 2020 election. If Harris gains 11 points in Texas, she's winning it by 6 percentage points. 6 percentage points. That is a huge margin in Texas. She could lose 6%, or more like 5%, and she's still left with 1 percentage point and wins the state. She could lose 5% and still win the state. That would be her margin if Texas shifts as much as Iowa. So the fact of the matter is, Iowa's poll and Selzer's poll could be 5 points underestimating Donald Trump's support, and Harris still wins the state of Texas. In reality, Donald Trump could be up by 2%. That gaining 5, being underestimated by 5. I highly doubt it looking at Ann Selzer's track record, but even so, he can win. He could be underestimated 5%. Nothing near an error that Ann Selzer has ever gotten in a presidential poll. Nothing near. Again, their biggest margin since 2012 has been 2%, which was in 2016. Even so, Trump could be underestimated by 5%, and it would still be so disastrous for his campaign nationwide, thinking on a nationwide scale, that he would lose Texas by a percentage point. He would lose the state of Florida and only narrowly hang on in Iowa and Ohio. And as you can see, Harrison Walz getting right near that 400 electoral vote margin to officially make it a landslide. They're almost at 3/4 of the electoral votes. And this directly contradicts everything we've, been talking about when it comes to Texas. At one point, it looked a little close in the average of polls, only 4.6%. But today, he stands at 7.7 in the state of Texas. But again, none of these polls are anything like what Ann Selzer is. Ann Selzer is simply the gold standard of polls, and it would be, just simply put, historically unique and historically unprecedented for Ann Selzer's poll to even get the result 5 points off. And even if it's 5 points off, Harris is winning Texas. This poll would have to be dramatically off for Donald Trump to even win the state of Texas. That's the point where we're at. But for Donald Trump to win the election, as I said, he would have to win Iowa by 10 points. That would mean to win the presidency, Ann Selzer's final presidential poll would have to be off by 13 percentage points. Again, Trump would have to win by 10 to win the election nationwide. Selzer's poll says Harris is up by 3. That is a 13-point deficit. That is how much Ann Selzer's poll would have to be off by. Absolutely nothing near anything that Selzer's poll has been off by, especially in a presidential year. Again, the most it's ever been off in a presidential year is 2 points. So for them to be off by 13 points, yeah, I highly, highly doubt it. At this point, the presidency is gone for Donald Trump. How we perceive this race has completely changed after we got this new information from the Des Moines Register poll, of course, conducted by Ann Selzer. Everything has completely changed. The presidency is gone. This certifies the Rust Belt for Kamala Harris. As you can see, I have Michigan and Pennsylvania as likely Democrat. What? I know what you're saying. What? Likely Democrat? Michigan and Pennsylvania, these supposedly, 50-50 dead heat races? Well, I'm here to tell you, yes, maybe not likely, But if they're not likely, it's almost right there, right? She is guaranteed to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And I'm going to make a video later saying how the presidency is gone for Donald Trump. It really is, because these states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, they're simply gone. He cannot win these states after, Harris's clear surge in support in the Rust Belt. You can argue that this poll from Iowa doesn't directly translate to the Texas result. It probably does, whatever, because of everything I was saying before, with it still being significantly off and Harris still winning Texas. But you cannot argue that it doesn't directly translate to the Rust Belt states. I mean, just look at the shift. We can look at the shift in support from, let's see if I could try to get it up here. Whatever. From 2012 to 2016, Mitt Romney, GOP nominee in 2012, to Donald Trump 2016. How one state shifted. Just take Iowa. How Iowa shifted. They went from Obama +5 to Trump +9. That is a dramatic shift towards the Republican Party, and that directly leads you to the other major shifts across the other Rust Belt states. You see, Wisconsin went from Obama +7 to Trump +1. You see, Michigan went from Obama +9 to Trump +0.2. Pennsylvania went from Obama +5 to Trump +1. How one state shifted, Iowa, really tells you a lot how the rest of the Rust Belt shifted. That cannot be that same thing cannot be said about Texas. Texas actually became more Democratic from 2012 to 2016, while Iowa became more Republican, while the Rust Belt became more Republican. But the point is, if Iowa is becoming even relatively more Democratic in 2024, then you bet Harris is taking the blue wall. And I'm sure most of you know, if she wins the blue wall, plus all the other traditionally blue states, she wins the election with exactly 270. I think she'll win a lot more than that. And as we talked about in this video, she can win Texas, she could win Florida, she could win Ohio, she could win Iowa. Guys, this could be a blowout election. This poll changed absolutely everything. Again, their last poll in 2020 was Trump +7. Now it's Harris +3. Something is going on here, and don't be completely shocked. Yes, you're going to be shocked if this is the result. Even I will be, and I'm the one talking about it, making this video. But don't be too shocked. If Harrison Walls win 412 electoral votes, Trump advance win 126. But Texas may very well be Democratic right now, as we know it. Florida may be blue as we know it. We will see in just 2 days. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe down below. That helps out the channel a lot. Comment your thoughts on this topic down below and drop a like as well. And I will see you all next time.